Welcome to the Daily Bread Podcast, where we talk faith, finances, and the foundation of building real wealth. Your host is Aaron Smith, who is your financial design coach, and is bringing you strategies that feed both your pockets and your purpose. Now listen, this podcast is for educational purposes only. Aaron is not providing legal, tax, or investment advice. Always consult with a qualified professional for your specific financial situation. That said, let's get into the real talk, because money is more than money. It's personal.
All right. Good afternoon. This is Aaron Smith, your wealth coach. I am always excited about sharing strategies that will allow you to build on your personal wealth. I want you to come on in and join me this evening. This session, we're going to have a conversation about the invisible cost of avoiding financial decisions. There's absolutely a cost for each and every one of us when we avoid financial decisions. It really boils down to, do you have a plan? Do you have a plan? So come on in, let's have this conversation. I hope that you have something to write with, something to write on as I share this information with you this evening. Planning is the starting point for any dream. Any dream or any goal that you have to plan it. You absolutely have to plan it. If you are not planning, then you're not going to reach the financial goal that you're trying to accomplish. Or if you do reach that goal, it will not be in the time period that you desire. That's right, because you didn't write the plan down. You know, there is a saying, you have to do something you hate to create something that you love. Let me say that again. You have to do something that you hate to create something that you love. You know, planning is not the most sexiest thing. Planning is absolutely not fun, right? It's laborious. It's tedious. It's meticulous. That's right. These are all the things that happens when you start to plan. But planning is nothing more than a written document, a document that you create, and you can create the document any way that you wish, right? You can do it through an app, or you may simply take a pen to paper and you write down the goals that you're trying to accomplish. What are those goals? What are those goals supposed to be able to identify as you're designing your goal? You want to know the date of your goal, so you have to note that. The amount of your goal, so how much is it going to cost me to reach this goal? What is the amount that's required to reach my goal? Right? So I need a date. I need an amount. And then I need to also make sure that I'm held accountable to reach my goal. Sometimes I need someone to coach me, to hold me accountable for my goal. And that's no different when it comes to your financial goals. So when Aaron talks about avoiding financial decisions, we typically avoid financial decisions because it's not a fun exercise. Another reason we avoid financial decisions is because we don't know what we're losing. We cannot understand what we're missing when we don't create a game plan. Champions create a plan. They write it down, they revisit it, they make adjustments, and if they don't reach the goal on the date that they aspire to reach it, they're not far behind the success of that date to be able to reach that goal. So, hey, look here. Join us. Please come in. Share with someone to come in. As this session, we're going to talk about the invisible cost of avoiding financial decisions. I did say that it's laborious, right? It's grilling. It can be grilling, absolutely grilling to create a plan. Demanding, maybe exhausting, right? But it gets easier and easier as you navigate. Now, there are some things because you were procrastinating, because you didn't have a plan, because you refused to create a plan, because you avoid making any financial decisions and you kick the can down the road, there are some things that you're missing. One of those things is the ability to compound the wealth that you have built. There's a number of you have been talking about investing for years. For years, you've been talking about investing and you haven't done it. You haven't done it. And the reason why you may not have done it is because A, you just don't have time to create a plan, or you're not sure how to create a plan, or you may just be simply intimidated or uncomfortable with the language of investing. Those are the reasons why we procrastinate. But look here, we can't procrastinate no more. We're in a different environment. We live in the country that's the most wealthiest on earth. Not perfect by any means, but we live in a country that's very wealthy. And you have the freedom. That's right. You have the freedom to build tremendous wealth. However, how much wealth you want to build, you can build. There's no one telling you that you can't do that. There's no law saying that you cannot establish as much wealth as you choose. If you're tuning in and you want to buy 5 homes, you can do that. They don't limit you to the number of homes that you can buy. If you want a net worth of $20 million, absolutely, you can have a net worth of $20 million. There's no restrictions in this country to tell you how much you can or cannot have. However, however, there are some things that are put in place that makes it very complicated or difficult for you to accomplish these things. That's why you got to have a plan and you got to write it down. You write it down, you have the plan, you revisit the plan, you're on your way. So let's talk about some things that absolutely happens. Negatively happens when you don't have a plan. One is you don't have the ability to compound your wealth if you're thinking about investing. You're procrastinating, you didn't have a plan, you haven't started, or you started late. You don't have the ability to compound the wealth that you're investing. Let me kind of give you an example, real example. Let's take the rule of 72, for example. The rule of 72 says you take the number 72 divided by the rate of return that you're earning on your money. It tells you how quickly your money would double. That's the rule of 72. Again, the rule of 72 says you take the rate of return that you're earning on your investment, divide it into 72. It tells you how many years your money would double. So let's take a $10,000 investment. Let's assume that we're earning a 9% rate of return annually on this investment. 9 into 72 is 8. 8 years. 8 years. It would take for your 10,000 to double. You didn't add any more money to it. You just put it in an investment. You allowed it to compound based on a 8% rate of return. Once again, 8% to 72, 9 years, it doubles. Make sure I get clear with my math. 8 years, 8% rate of return to 72 is 9 years. 9 years. If you earn 9% rate of return on your money, it takes 8 years. If you earn 12% of rate of return on your money, it takes 6 years. See? So if I got a $10,000 investment, I'm earning 9% rate of return on my money. It takes 8 years to double. And 10,000 in 8 years is worth 20,000. 8 more years, 16 years total. That's worth 40,000. Add another 8 years, is now worth 80,000. That's the compounding effect of money. If you add to a dollar cost averaging, what is dollar cost averaging, Aaron? It's taking a dollar amount every single month out of your bank account, out of your paycheck, or simply you're just sending money into a stable a group of individual stocks, and you're getting dividend and interest on these stocks. You're sending in $50 a month, or you're sending $100 a month, or you're sending $1,000 a month. You're buying shares of stocks, sometimes high when the prices are high, and sometimes low when the prices are lower. And that money is compounding. The earlier you start to do this, the more success you have with building your wealth. But these opportunities are missed every day because we don't have a plan, because we're ignoring or avoiding making financial decisions. See? That's an opportunity miss. Here's another opportunity miss is that you took out a 30-year mortgage. And of course, they're talking about 50-year mortgages. Unbelievable. A 50-year mortgage. You'll never own your home. You'll never own your home. You'll never be able to pass any wealth on to the next generation. 50-year mortgage? That's ridiculous. But I've always said, as a wealth coach, I've always said that a 30-year mortgage is also ridiculous. Why would you do a mortgage for 30 years if you know better? See, it's put in front of us, so we assume that the 30-year makes sense. It gives us the payment that we feel comfortable with in our mortgage. But when we procrastinate, when we don't have a plan, when we don't have a strategy, when it's not written down, when we're avoiding financial decisions, we avoid the compounding effect of money backwards. I just explained the rule of 72 to you and the compounding effect of money over time. I added in there the dollar cost average, makes the money even grow even faster. I want you to think about that and think about how much interest you pay on your mortgage or your credit card or your car note or your personal loan. The finance company is reversing the rule of 72 on you and using it against you. That's why you almost pay twice the amount and the total amount of loan that you get when you do a 30-year mortgage. So if you bought your home for 300,000, for example, after you pay the loan off over 30 years, it actually costs you almost double the amount for that same home. Well, if you're planning and you're strategically planning and you're not avoiding financial decisions, you start to think about, how do I create strategy to reduce the amount of interest and reduce the amount of years on my mortgage? So maybe I don't have to have a 30-year mortgage. Maybe I have a 20-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage or maybe even a 10-year mortgage. Is that possible? Absolutely. When you write it down, when you strategically plan. See, champions plan. Think about it. Think about, at any level, any sports team, at any level, how do they win the championship? Because they plan. They write it down. They revisit. They make adjustments. But they have a goal in mind, which is the championship. That should be the exact same way in our financial household. You know, I've been doing this for many years now. I have created a lot of millionaires. Mhm. A lot of millionaires. I've helped individuals reduce the amount of interest that they pay on their debt. I've helped people be able to create multiple streams of income. I've helped individuals have more than one property, more properties. I've helped individuals have distributions from their investment accounts, distributions that sustain their lifestyle. not only for a moment, but for the remaining of their lives. See, I wasn't able to do all this without a plan. Every single one of my clients have a financial plan. It's a written document. It's a written plan. That plan is executed with my knowledge, my skill set, working with my client. And we revisit the plan minimum once a year. Why? Because there may need to be adjustments. I continue to monitor those opportunities every single month. See, it's important, absolutely important that you write a plan. You know, when we procrastinate on our financial decisions, when we avoid making financial decisions, we always also create more debt. Now, that's a big topic right now. Right now, debt. Debt. Debt is the main killer of our financial lives. You want to plan to rid debt. Debt means anything that you owe. That includes your mortgage. That includes your business loans. You don't want these things. They absolutely negatively affect your health. So avoiding having this conversation also reduces you or increases your stress, your anxiety. Uh, we have these sessions every single week. I want you to continue to join me as I will explore with you opportunities, strategies that will allow you to build on your wealth. It doesn't matter your profession, doesn't matter your education level. Matter of fact, the higher your education level, the more income you earn or have, the more you need to fall in and have this conversation with us so that we can educate you so that you can position yourself to win financially. Thanks for tuning into this session, the invisible cost of avoiding financial decisions. And once again, as I recap, this has everything to do with a plan. It has everything to writing out your plan. It has everything to do with determining how much your plan costs. And it has everything to determine the date you want to accomplish this plan. I'm Aaron Smith, your wealth coach. We look forward to talking to you next time. We'll see you soon.